Hey guys, what's going on? So I'm back again with another video today. Without, spoiling anything, this pile of stuff here has some significance in the subject of the video, shall we say. I do realise again there's been a bit of a delay between this video and the last one. I was hoping to get another video up sooner than that. However, I've just had a lot going on in the last couple of weeks in the build-up to the end of term, although this is the last week of term now, so I do have a bit more time, and I've got quite an exciting project now that I'm going to undertake, which, as now given away by all the components just sitting on the bed here, is going to be a PC build, or more in fact, a Hackintosh build. So I'm joined by my mate Tom behind the camera.
Hello.
Who is keeping a watchful eye over the focus, because with these DSLRs it's a pain. The new camera is still on the to purchase list, so that will happen at some point in the future. Anyway, but without further ado, component wise, I've hidden the best behind the boxes. So first of all, we have, yes, it is Skylake. It is a Core i7 6700K processor, 4 cores, 8 threads. I decided to go with a Skylake chip over Haswell E is the current high performance branch that's still on sale, without waiting for Broadwell E or indeed Skylake E, just because of the number of main internal benefits of having a Skylake chip, such as the increased direct media interface speed. DMI 3.0 is in the Skylake series. It's got support for modern memory, DDR4. I just figured it would be a more sensible option to just go with their top-end consumer level chip, in terms of it offering fairly decent performance for what it's currently priced at. I'm going to be using it as a replacement for my Mac Pro, which is an 08 model, so it's getting on a bit. Just something that works with all the latest and greatest gaming titles, as well as has the oomph for some processing power in terms of, if I move on to 4K video, say, which I'm hoping to do at some point, it will need, because the stuff in the Mac Pro now, whilst you can continue to upgrade the graphics card, something I'll get on to in a second, the internal architecture of the computer is still based on stuff from 2008. So, you've got DDR2 RAM, you've got PCI Express 2, and that stuff definitely is starting to become a bottleneck. You can only upgrade those systems so far. So anyway, Core i7 Skylake, 4 GHz. I'm hoping to be able to overclock it with the help of this guy. I'll get onto that in a second. This is a Malaysian model as well, which Tom has pointed out seems to be, do you reckon, slightly better performing?
Potentially.
Based on internet rumours, but we'll see what mileage we get when we fire it up shortly. So it's got Intel HD graphics 530 built in, which I'm also going to test as well to see what performance is like with that. Now this is going to be split into a number of parts. This will probably be labelled as part 1, this is just us looking at the components. Part 2 is going to consist of the actual build of the machine, as such, like a time lapse or an ongoing builds vlog. I'll see how long it takes, because with PC builds you never really know what kind of problems you can run into. Although this will be my 5th build and your 4th build?
Yes.
4th build. Anything can happen really, especially with these water coolers as well. And the last build I made was a couple of years ago at the very least, so it will be an interesting venture for me, shall we say. Moving on to the motherboard anyway, which is the most important bit of the system besides the CPU. I have decided to opt for a Gigabyte Z170X UD5TH board. It is notable for having Thunderbolt 3, 2 of them in fact, built in. Well, it is essentially USB-C or USB 3.1 with Thunderbolt that runs over the top of it. It's the same connector. It's got HDMI 2 on it as well. On the back here, I will give you a close-up in a bit, I'm sure, when I'm constructing the system, but you can look this this board up on the internet for all of its specs, but just to give you a quick rundown, it's got DDR4 RAM support. It uses the Z170 chipset, as I mentioned. PCIe 3, there's one 16-lane slot, there's one 8-lane slot, and there's one 4-lane slot. I'm not intending to, well, at this moment in time, I'm not sure if I am going to run SLI. I'm going to start with a 970, which I've ripped out of the Mac Pro, because it's just going to be replaced with another card. I haven't decided yet, although I am possibly going to replace that with a 980. And ideally, maybe down the line, add a second 980. So we'll see what happens. I'll give you an update as I add the stuff to it. PCIe Gen 3, 4 lanes for the 3.1 controller, so you can get 32 gigabits per second across the two. Now USB 3.1, it has Type 2 support, so they haven't just relabeled USB 3 as USB 3.1 Type 1. This does have the full support for the 10 gigabits you can get out of USB 3.1, although, that said, and the issue with the Thunderbolt on this is that at the moment I can't foresee any Thunderbolt 3 peripherals that are currently on the market. Even a Thunderbolt 3 to Thunderbolt 2 converter to use existing stuff that I've got, for example with the MacBook Pro, which has Thunderbolt 2. USB-C, I don't have any devices that will utilise it yet, but in a way it is future-proofing it, because I can see at this point in time that USB-C is clearly going to be the port of the future, but we'll let that unfold. Now it has obviously got gigabytes, ongoing high standard of construction. You've got the obviously highlighting the fact that it's an ultra durable motherboard, so you've got dual BIOS, 2-layer copper printed circuit boards. It's got some cool ambient LEDs around it as well. That's more of a gimmick than anything else. The PCI Express ports themselves are plated with a form of aluminium, which makes them more durable in case you could knock it with something, although I've never done that personally. Long lifespan solid capacitors, all super stuff with integrated gigabit LAN and all of that stuff. HDMI 2, which is another new standard that's come in. Interestingly enough, actually, Thunderbolt 3 does not support the latest DisplayPort protocol, so you can, for some reason, run 5K over it. It might support it, actually. I'll check up on that and double check my facts in the next video, but I believe you can run 5K down a single Thunderbolt 3 lead. Can't test it yet though, because I don't have a 5K screen or a cable. So that's something, again, I will test down the road. That's the motherboard anyway. I mean, I'm not going to fully open them now because of all the anti-static issues, or the static issues even that could damage the components. SSD, I've just got a Samsung 850 EVO that will do the job for me for the time being. Again, I will hopefully replace it with a PCI Express SSD, which will go in the M.2 slot, which is on the motherboard as well. This is all new stuff to me, by the way, because in my Mac Pro, you don't have any of this. So it will be interesting to see how much easier or more difficult it has got to build a PC in the last couple of years, because stuff changes so frequently in the world of computing. DDR4 RAM from Corsair Vengeance LPX, not the very top end stuff, but something that will get me by. Running at 2.4 gigahertz, so, or 2400 megahertz, whatever you want to say. Yeah, do the job for the time being. GTX 970 from PNY. Yeah, again, standard GTX 970 card, nothing special about it. A Western Digital 1TB blue drive. Now this is only because it's going to just be media / backup on this computer. I'm intending to get a new 1TB SSD, so I will get another few of these over time and run them in a RAID array. I haven't decided which RAID config I would use yet, but again, just for some backing storage for internal backup anyway. So that. EVGA Supernova 750 G2 power supply, which is 80 plus gold rated, so fairly decent power supply that should last. I've had bad experiences in the past when you don't spend necessarily the right amount of money on a power supply, whether they just blow up or cease to work. It is the one thing that can pose a major risk to all the other components in the computer, because obviously if it goes wrong, it has the potential to damage all the other stuff, so I'm not taking any risks with that. Good old Arctic Silver 5 thermal paste. We will see if there's any that's given with the Corsair H110 CPU cooler, which is a dual fan radiator, which claims all sorts of performance benefits, but this should enable me to take advantage of the unlocked processor core there, so I should be able to get some decent overclocking done on that, but again, that will come further down the line when we've got the system up and running. So yeah, that's the water cooler. Sorry guys, my camera decided to die very helpfully at the worst possible time, so anyway, I've just swapped over to my phone to record for the time being, so it should be alright. Yeah, so anyway, I was looking into, well, motherboards to buy that would fit in a smaller case, and in fact I actually found this specific case, the Corsair Air 540 case, which is an ATX case in itself, although it's done something unique in that it splits everything into two chambers, so whilst you get maybe a smaller size overall, I think, or you get you get a smaller size overall, but you essentially have the room of a full size, full tower case. So this is classified as a mid tower case. Now, in terms of the PC build itself, I chose all of these components just because I wanted as much of a future-proof build as possible. So Thunderbolt 3, whether it has much use in the future, will be yet to see. Same with USB-C, although I know that there will definitely be some sort of stuff that would utilise them, I think, in the future. Now, I did mention it's going to be a Hackintosh, but the interesting thing with this is there is only 1 or 2 Apple products that are currently sold with Skylake chips in them, and as of recent, the compatibility with Skylake on OS X is quite buggy and limited in the sense of Hackintoshing. So I've been checking Tony Mac x86 for a load of updates. 10.11.2 apparently isn't too good at the moment, which is the first true build to provide unified support for Skylake, in terms of there was a unique 10.11.1 build for those specific iMacs that launched. Now, I'll try and see what I can get working on this board. There are obviously other people that do have this exact board and trying to do the same thing with me, but there's just not that many of them yet. So, and there are not that many that have the ability to necessarily hack together their own kernel extensions and the ability to produce DSDTs and all that fun stuff for Hackintoshing. But I guess I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. And if need be, I just stick Windows on it for the time being, and when support arrives, I'll install it. But I just cannot foresee there being out-of-the-box support for like Thunderbolt 3 and USB 3.1 at this stage in time. But we'll see what happens. So anyway, this case in itself, if I just move all of these other bits and bobs out of the way, prepared as always I am on this channel. To be honest, I don't think I could do it all the fancy way, but I've had consulted a number of people and they actually honestly preferred me to do stuff this way, so as it shall be. Yeah, anyway, they've helpfully packaged this in some kind of a black material, but they've made the box rather tight fitting as always. So I'm going to try and take this out. Now it's going to have to be an upside down one, isn't it? So if I just chuck all of this stuff out of the way, should be able to get this out. I should not do a jump cut here, but the magics of editing. And voila, it has been opened. So you just move that back so you guys can see it a bit more. This is going to be an interesting thing because I believe it is the black model that I had ordered. I got most of the components from Amazon, some of it from Scan. and some from Area PC, which were actually the best value for money in terms of the place to get the motherboard and the CPU from, because those that were together the two, apart from a graphics card, the two most expensive components of the system. Skylake, you're not going to find any deals on that as of yet because it's just been released. So the i7, you're probably looking at about, that was a bit of a static shock there actually. The i7, you're probably looking at about 320 odd pounds at the moment. So up to you what you decide to do there. So this is the bottom of the machine, and it seems relatively well built on first inspection. It looks more to me like, from the bottom anyway, one of those old kind of stereos that were all fitted together. You know, like you couldn't remove the separate parts. I mean, it's that sort of form factor, if you can imagine what it's like. Or, you know, there's a mid-tower plus a bit more. So it's not too heavy. It's definitely got a premium feeling. You know, you pay a decent amount for a case, you're obviously going to get a decent amount of quality. There is loads of air gaps, or air holes even, where, I mean, the emphasis in this case was ventilation, which is quite important in a machine that I'm intending to overclock and hopefully run as silently as possible. So yeah, there is plenty of room in this to put a lot of stuff, and their idea is to separate, you know, your motherboard, CPU, GPUs, all of the main heat generating components from your disk drives, your power supply and that. So you've got two chambers in essence, slightly larger one on the left, on your right hand side, to house all of the motherboard and that. So there seems to be a lot that needs to be done in terms of initializing the case for use. They've put a lot of screws inside, so I won't put the stuff in initially. I'm going to make a mini test bench, as it were, just to check the motherboard is working, as you always should do. I'm going to make sure I ground myself out, as I just found out that was one hell of a static shock for a case that's been in. I suppose this material would help to generate static electricity, but yeah, I'm pleased with this case anyway, and all the other components. This definitely does have a good feel to it, and whilst being a little on the big side, I think its overall footprint is definitely smaller than the Mac Pro. So we shall crack on with the builds. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching part 1. Part 2 should be up in at least hopefully no longer than the day after this. I will endeavour to get it edited ASAP. But yeah, thanks very much though for watching the unboxing of this. I'm sorry if it's not as exciting as you hoped it would be, but be rest assured there will probably be something that goes catastrophically wrong, and it will be quite hilarious at the very least for you to watch. So come back to see that. Come back to just watch me fail at building a computer. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.